So here we are back again with the Bitaxe mining. So it's kind of become a everyday video at this point in time, just because we've been messing around with them so much on the channel. So today we're going to be looking at, I know in the previous video we were looking at overclocks for this one, and I have got some stuff in the works for that, so I'm going to be ordering some stuff. However, today we're just going to be looking at feasible coins that we could mine on these solo. So we're looking for something basically that is low difficulty that we could actually hit a block on. So I've never seen the hit a block thing show up on a Bitaxe, but hopefully, I mean not in this video, but in a next video or something like that, we can actually get that coming through and we can actually see it live, because I haven't seen one before. So the main reason for this is to kind of give you guys an idea of what you could feasibly solo mine using these Bitaxes. I know one of them, this gamma, let's for example say, I'm going to base it off difficulty today, not necessarily hash rate, because I've hit certain difficulties on this one which is higher than the gamma. So the supra difficulty highest is actually higher than the gamma. But in two previous videos ago we did mine on Bitcoin Cash, and we still have it running on Bitcoin Cash currently. Haven't really got that much shares, we haven't switched it over either to a pool with a lower share difficulty. So we're going to go through a lot of that, and I'm going to go through my recommendations for a pool with a different share difficulty, and then we're going to look about feasible coins that we could actually mine solo with these all put together. So let's get onto the computer now. So currently on the Bitcoin Cash solo mining that we have already running, this has been running for about 3 days or 4 days overall, and we haven't really submitted that many shares to the pool. So I know it says total shares 2, but it's because the share difficulty is way too high and it's not actually keeping it as basically a steady hash rate on the network, because you have to submit shares for it to display the hash rate. So you can see kind of there, you can see 3 valid shares, and then it dips down to 0, 0, 1, 2. But if we go on the last week, you can see how that is spread across the week, and then last month it should just give us a line graph. So this would have been like every 12 hours, I believe. We're only submitting around 20 to 30 shares every 12 hours. You can kind of see this here as well. We have 51 shares here, then we have 64 on the Supra, and we have 38 on the Max. And we all know that these miners are kind of solo lottery miners, but we could use them to actually mine something and hit blocks with it. So one thing I do want to note about the Bitcoin Cash solo mining is that the difficulty currently on Bitcoin Cash network is 372, and the highest difficulty that we've ever hit on our Bitaxe is 2.68, which is quite actually a lot, and the gamma was only 728 million, and on the max is 207 million. So we are kind of looking for a coin that is around these ranges. So I would say 207 million all the way to 2.68 G, because that would feasibly give us, some blocks possibly within a week of mining. I'm kind of hoping that it would, if we could find a network with that amount of difficulty on it. So I also want to note as well, with the 2 miners, I would say that it's not the best for solo mining using Bitaxes. And personally, I think going forward, if you do want to mine on here, I believe there was a pool, and it's this bchsolomining.io, so it's right down here. The only reason that we're using it is because it's worldwide. You could use some other ones. Because we're not actually in the US does offer a lot more solo mining pools than the EU regions, but this one is a worldwide node, as you can see here, solomining.io. And solo is only 1%. Now the reason for this is because you can actually change the difficulty. So with the gamma, or maybe the super as well, you're kind of looking at around the same difficulty that you're going to be hitting on average. Maybe it's something around the range, I just want to say, of 25 million. I want to say that the average, if we even go to the logs here, we can kind of see what the average for the actual difficulty is that we're submitting. So it's 600, 300, 300, 342, 1300. So we're looking for something with a low enough difficulty. Now, this custom difficulty that you can choose here only actually goes down to 2000, but it should submit a lot more shares. So you can see that that one would have been submitted, and then this one would have been submitted here, and then there's one close here. So it's maybe not every second, but every 5 seconds you would submit a share if you have it at around 2000. So it says here you can set this in custom difficulty with the string d equals whichever difficulty value you're looking for. So for example, if you wanted to do this, I'm not necessarily saying that I'm going to do it right now, but I'm just going to show you how you would do this. So you go to pool settings. First thing you want to do is obviously get the Stratum host. So the Stratum is stratumsolomining.io. You only need this part. You don't need the Stratum TCP. And you would put that in there. And then the port would be 5566, depending obviously on where you are. So this is the same for Europe, and it just directs into the closest one. So 5566, and then you have your Stratum user. That's going to be your Bitcoin Cash. And then this is the important part, is the password. So instead of putting the standard X password, you need to put D equals and then the difficulty that you're aiming to go for. I would obviously recommend that you go for the lowest difficulty possible. So you put D. So that's what it would look like if you put it in there. And that would allow you to actually submit shares past 2000. So anything above 2000 would be counted as a share on the pool. And that would give you just a better look at your pool stats, and it would register as a more steady hash rate on the pool as well. I know that there's not many solo mining pools out there for Bitaxe miners. This is the main thing that I kind of ran into, is that there's loads out there for smaller Bitcoin miners, but for other coins, as you go down the list, there isn't necessarily small pools out there for kind of solo lucky miners. And maybe there is a reason for that, because everyone wants to mine Bitcoin, but there might be people out there that want to mine Bitcoin Cash or any of the other SHA-256 algorithms, which kind of brings us into our next part of the video, which is feasibly looking for coins that we could mine. And I want you guys' input on this. So we have a bunch of options that we can choose from. And we're going to be doing it through miningdutch.nl, just because they have a node that's close to us. I think you can find it here. So it is here. But it lists a bunch of SHA-256 algorithms, the smaller ones that we are kind of looking to aim for. And I kind of want your guys' opinion on what we should actually mine. Bitcoin Cash is kind of an unfeasible way to mine on these miners, because it is playing the lottery. We want to kind of dumb it down to not necessarily playing the lottery, but actually hitting blocks on a network. I know it's not necessarily used for that, but it's fun when you're actually hitting blocks, you know, and the power cost is so low it doesn't really matter what kind of network we're putting it on. So we have a bunch of options. Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash kind of taken out of it. The difficulty is way too high on these. Bitcoin SV, I am judging it based off the highest difficulty that we've ever hit. So if we go back to dashboard, as I said, it's 2.68. So I think that miner's been mining maybe for 2 months, and it's hit that as the all-time best difficulty. So Bitcoin SV has a difficulty currently of 70.04. It's not typically unfeasible. I just think it's going to be a once a year that I'd hit a block on Bitcoin SV with all three of these. So that might be a prolonged type of mining that we could do on that. But I'm going to shy away from that because the difficulty is kind of still high. We have dVault. I've never heard of this before. The only ones that I've heard of are Digibyte and eCash. But there are a bunch of them as we go down. Digibyte is 891 million. So we've already been above that with the Bitaxe Supra and approached it nearly with the Gamma. So there is potential to actually hit a block on that probably within the week or within the next 2 weeks, depending on the luck on the network. So it's only 884 million, which is actually pretty low. Then you move on to eCash, which is 24.47 G, which is extremely high and kind of territory of Bitcoin SV. We'd have to stick it on for longer and wait for that actual difficulty to be hit to actually get that in. There's another one down here called Fractal Bitcoin, which I think feasibly within 2 months we could hit a block on this. 10.38G, not necessarily massively high, but it's still up there. Free cash, that's pretty low. I think we could hit a block on that very easily. Same with Litecoin Cash. So we might actually go over to that as well. And then you have a bunch of other ones. Peercoin is there, 5.31G. That is feasible. As you go down, they're not as good. When you go down to here, these are pretty high in terms of the difficulty. This one's not that bad. This one's not that bad. Reversed Bitcoin, 277K, but I don't think there's any connection. And then Litecoin, so 645 million, maintenance, currency, convertible, disabled. So I was thinking this could be a way to stack basically Bitcoin without having to do the pool mining thing, where you're stacking just little bits of Bitcoin and bringing a little more luck into it because you are solo mining. I think we're going to go with Digibyte, but let me know in the comments if you want to see Bitcoin SV. Currently, we're still going to leave it on Bitcoin Cash just because there's not really much point in changing it until we get a concrete figure of what you want to do. And we have some equipment coming in for the Bitaxe Gamma, which might actually up the terahash. But I do have another idea if you don't want to stick it solo onto a lower difficulty. I think we could actually look for some of the really low difficulty coins on this list and stick one of these Bitaxes on a different coin and see how the luck plays out on mining these smaller coins. So those are kind of 2 ways that I want to go with this. So let me know in the comments kind of what you want to see, and I guess if one comment gets more likes than the other, then that's what we're kind of going to do with them, and we'll make videos on that as well. So make sure you like the video, subscribe for more content like this, and comment below what you want to see us do with the Bitaxes next. And if you have any ideas of what you want to see, leave them down below as well.